Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well. Salutation and salutations to the brothers out there that are laboring and pushing this truth in truth and in sincerity and in charity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. To you I say Shalom. To the Akim and to the Akwath, there'll be brothers and sisters, Adawan Ratazah. That is to say, Lord willing, hopefully by the end of this lesson, you'll be edified. This is your brother Amawan Ibai from the GMS Miami camp. Heralds of Yahweh Shai 144, back again with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, to feed the lambs of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, as commanded. This lesson is going to be going into famine, all right? Famine is prophesied in the scriptures, all right, that in the end times there's going to be a famine, right? Speaking of famine of food, all right? Famine is a shortage of food. Food shortages. Not having enough. In some cases, not having anything at all to the point of starvation. All right? It happened before. All right? Several times in the past. All right? And it's a future prophecy. All right? To the point where people are going to turn to cannibalism, man. Okay? Because there's no new thing under the sun. These things happened in the past. All right? And they're going to happen in the future. Because the scripture speaks of, all right, time of the judgments, man. Okay? So again, famine, which is a shortage of food, okay? And sometimes it gets to the point of no food at all, to the point of starvation, where people literally die. Well, that's going to happen. It happened before and it's going to happen again because it's prophesied to happen. You see? The Lord, one of the signs of his coming, it's going to be famine. All right? That's in Matthew the 24th chapter. Okay? Let's get some scriptures real quick. Let's get some in the past to show you these things happened before. They're going to happen again. And we brought out some of these precepts to camp this past Saturday. All right? Well, let's go to the curses and get Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. You could grab one or two from there. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 53. It says, "And thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord thy power hath given thee, in the siege and in the straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee." See? These things that happened before, NLT version, verse 53, Deuteronomy 28 and 53 again in NLT version. "The siege and terrible distress of the enemy attack will be so severe that you will eat the flesh of your own sons and your daughters, whom the Lord your power has given you." See? Different times. These things happen before. Okay? So, the scripture speaks about how the vintage is going to fail. Okay? The things that you're used to, they're going to fail, man. Because you're going down, the scripture says, woe to the rebellious children that go down to Egypt. All right? Roughly paraphrasing. Looking to lean on the strength of Pharaoh, man. You ain't turning to the Holy One of Israel. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, you look into the system. Therefore, you're going to lose out. Okay? But, matter of fact, let's go to that real quick. This is the book of Isaiah, the 32nd chapter. Jump in here. I'm going to start at 9. This is speaking to the woman. Where it says, Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless woman, for the vintage shall fail. The gathering shall not come. All right? Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats. Okay? It says, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. All right? Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars, yea, upon all the house of joy in the joyous city. I'm going to read these 2 verses in the NLT, verse 12. Beat your breasts in sorrow for your bountiful farms and your fruitful grapevines, for your land will be overgrown with thorns and briars. Your joyful homes and happy towns will be gone. It says the palace and the city will be deserted. And so we come into a time, right, where there's going to be famines. All right, shortages of food, man. That's one of the sore judgments, man. That's one of the 4 sore judgments. Okay, and you go here to the book of Lamentation. This is Lamentation chapter 4 and verse, I think it's verse 10. I'll start at 9. It says, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. See? The scriptures tell you it's better to be shot dead than to die of starvation. Okay? Starvation is a gruesome death, man. You don't want to die of starvation. This is why it will behoove you to serve the Lord. Because hunger is coming. Famine is coming. To the point where people are going to be starved out. All right, verse 10, it says, the hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. They were their meat. The word sodden means to boil. It says, the hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. See? So these things happened before, and it's going to happen again. Okay? There's an account in the book of 2 Kings. All right? 2 Kings, the 6th chapter, where these 2 women, all right, had their sons, and they agreed that they was going to eat one of their sons today, and they're going to eat the other one's son tomorrow. But one of the women, she supplanted, she tricked the other one. They eat one of the sons, and when the other lady was supposed to give up her son, she hid him. See, so these things happen in the past, and the scriptures say things written aforetime was written for our learning, man. Okay? This is 2 Kings. 2 Kings. 2 Kings. I start here at verse 25. It says, and there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. So this is talking about bird shit, man. Okay, that's what they were selling at that time, because the city was besieged. Okay, it says, and as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my lord, O king. And he said, If the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor, or out of the winepress, right? Because the city was besieged. You know? It says, verse 28, it says, And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. Verse 29. It says, So we boiled my son. See? Remember, we just read it in Lamentation. Pitiful women have saddened their children, meaning to boil. Okay, now we're reading a different account of women boiling their children. This is 2 Kings chapter 6. It says, So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, Give thy son, that we may eat him. And she had hid her son. See? It says, verse 30, And it came to pass, when the king heard the words of the woman, that he rent his clothes and he passed by upon the wall, and the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth within upon his flesh. Yeah, so upon hearing that, you know, he basically ended up lamenting, because that's a sad story, man. But sadly, all right, that's going to be in the future, because the scripture speaks about famine, man. Okay, let me see if I can get something in the Apocrypha real quick. I'm going to have to try to wrap this up. I got to make some space on my phone. Lord willing, this video done before I get to finish. Where is that in the Apocrypha? Bear with me here. Let me see something. Bear with me here. Let me see if I can find it like this real quick. Bear with me. I'm looking for scriptures. Bear with me here real quick. Where is it? Right, okay, there we go. 2 Ezra chapter 16. It says, verse 22, For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. See? 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 22. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Right? So if you happen to escape the hunger, all right, it's possible you could be destroyed by the sword, man. All right, because 2/3 of our people are going to be punished on this side, because they haven't repented, and they don't adhere to the words of the Lord. Okay, if you're not a part of the elect, and you're the daughter of Babylon, aka America, okay, the only way out of here is up in the chariots, man. But famine is coming. Again, it says for 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 22, for many of them that dwell upon earth, right, shall perish of famine. See, this is a future prophecy. And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. See? So it's not a game, man. Okay? It's not a game. As a matter of fact, let me move over to 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter, where it speaks about how the famines, all right, the farm work. If you look around now, the farm work is dried up. Remember the last few years when they was turning over those milk and getting rid of the chicken and all that stuff? All these farmlands being bought up. Okay? Mysteriously, these processing place just going up in smoke over the last few years. If I can find that scripture, I think it's around it speaks about the constellation. Bear with me here. This is 2 Ezra chapter 15. And all right, verse 13. I start at verse 12. It says, Egypt shall mourn. Let me start at verse 11. It says, behold, my people is